Hello, Odyssey House. Ona SLC, Phil, Sarah, we're here.
Vida, the dog.
Vita, the dog, Jack is watching something somewhere.
Who's Jack?
Jack, the baby, the toddler, the sometimes hellion with a smile.
He's peed on the floor 5 times today. So far in potty training, we have gone from unconscious to at least being conscious that he went pee, and then he comes and tells me that he peed on the floor. So,
Good. At least he's doing that.
yeah. So, today we're going to talk about gear switch. So, Jack has switched gears from being totally unconscious of going pee to at least being conscious of going pee. Hopefully he'll switch gears to like sitting on the toilet and doing that. But the reason that we were thinking of gear switch is because Phil and I play many different roles in each other's lives. So we'll be talking about some creative idea. When something is in a creative space, you can't really define it too much and you can't edit. You have to kind of just let it be and let it percolate, let it come to your awareness. And if you judge it too quickly, then the creative juices are just like gone. So we'll be in that space, which is creative space, which is exploring, which is kind of like watery. And in my home here, I have in the basement a space that I've created that is a creative space where I facilitate writing and where I do a lot of meditation. And so that space downstairs has a certain kind of diffused light and colored light and sound, and it's kind of like going inside. And while I'm there, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have responsibilities we're not worrying about those yet. And then as soon as I come upstairs from that meditative space, I'm washing dishes, I'm making lunch for kids. I have 4 children and getting them off to school and responding to emails and then like the flood of responsibility hits me. But because I know how to switch gears, I don't get too upset about being in any particular space. So I can be in creative, meditative space, and then I can switch gears into get shit done space. And these are different ways of being, and I've really practiced trusting each one as it is and not worrying that I should be any other way. And this is called, some people you hear this called emotional agility, where you can be in an emotion and experience it, and 5 minutes later you're experiencing something else. It doesn't mean that what you experienced here in this space wasn't true. It means that you experienced it and now you gear switch and you go to the next space and the next space. And so I was washing dishes before we made this video, and I was talking with Phil about this, and he said that might be really useful for people at Odyssey House to understand how to practice being in different realms, different gears, whatever you want to call them, and that it's okay, that each one is valid. So this gear right here is like the communication gear, where I'm aware that I'm talking to other people, and so I have to like explicitly spell out all the little step-by-step things. And then after we're done making this video, we're going to go into a different gear. So, what do you think about that, Phil?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is sometimes Sarah and I will be in a conversation about maybe something dramatic, so to speak.
Emotional,
if you will. And then one of us will think of something and we'll be like, gear switch. Something very tactile, very utilitarian, maybe business sense, business oriented. And I don't know when we started doing that. It was very early in our partnership, and it's like, whoa! And it was, at first it was kind of jarring, but then it became, because we practiced the gear switch. It was like, Oh, okay, and it kind of teaches you to compartmentalize, um, and give space to certain ideals, maybe even because some of my creative ideals don't necessarily match my business ideals, and I have a hard time with those. And I have found that if I can just be like, wait, this is business, and still have like the yang dot of creativity in there, and if I'm in creative mode and I have like the yin dot of business, I'm still being true to like who I am. But if I'm just total black and white, it's like it's probably inauthentic and also discombobulated. And I think Sarah and I do that well together. So she can be the yin and I can be the yang
I just had an idea
in the gear switches.
For gear switch, for what these guys can do. What if we have them create their own yin yang of themselves? So I'll show you guys how to draw the yin and the yang, and then you can kind of like fill it in. Like on one side I'm this and this and this and this, and on the other side I'm this, and the two halves make a complete whole person. So you can describe your yin and your yang of yourself.
So yeah, great idea. Is there? So yin happens to be more associated with female or feminine energy, and the yang is usually associated with the masculine energy, right? Mm-hmm. And we were talking about this before, like those two words alone can spark heat in, especially in our culture today, because there's like, the fluidity of such things. And so how do you talk about those things in a way that's creative? And I think this is a way to do that. So words.
What do you mean by heat? What are you talking about? Like people get mad?
Yeah, or there's at least some sort of emotional response because, like, the whole movement is like non-binary. Like if you were to go to a non-binary person and say he or she, like that's offensive to them. There's going to be heat. And so feminine, masculine, those have a designation to them. So nowadays, the more that we open up to the understanding that people identify differently, when you talk about such things, it's not the same anymore. Like maybe 10 years ago, you have the same conversation and it's almost black and white for the majority of people listening. And so today we get to explore how is yin and yang different today? Like it doesn't have to be feminine, masculine anymore. Maybe it's just opposite ideas or different ideas that maybe complement each other. And how do they do that?
So that could be part of your yin and yang. What are seemingly opposite ideas that could not exist in the same space that exist in the same space within you?
And also on that idea is usually one can't exist with the other, right? Like you don't know a sunny day without a cloudy day kind of deal, right? Mm-hmm. So it provides the contrast. So they're opposites, but because they are opposites, they complement the other thing. And that's the whole idea of yin and yang, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I'm going to draw a picture of one real quick while you tell them, because we didn't do this part.
Who we are and what we do.
Yeah, what own it is.
Good call. You've had 2 good calls today.
Except I just stepped in the dog food bowl.
I wonder what that means. Probably nothing. So we are on SLC. Where that started is both Sarah and I we come from a 12-step background, both of us, and we've both practiced that paradigm for years and years, and found that the same language was described and brought up all the time, same ideas. And we were both kind of sick of it at the same time, and so we're like, what can we do different? We had a couple of conversations. Conversations turned into a coffee shop conversation that changed the trajectory of both of our lives. And that conversation was the idea of Own It, which was a performing arts event where people in recovery could change the way they talked about recovery and use different words, different terminology. And now we've done 20 shows, 12 live event shows in the past 3.5 years. And a podcast came out of it. And the missing piece there for a while is how do we take that to people who can't access live shows. And so we started talking with Cheryl about how we could do that. And here we are. We've been doing these videos with Odyssey for the last 2 years. And it's an opportunity for you to watch this video and then take it and apply it to a little activity that you will be doing, which is what Sarah is going for right here. She is now drawing a yin and yang. And so when you're watching this video, let your brain kind of open up to the possibility of creating something that you're willing to share with the group, because that's what you'll be asked to do. And the facilitator, whoever that may be, will help you through it. Yin and yang.
Facilitator. Oh, you like the staff member?
Like the staff member over there.
Like Alan and Bree and Annie and.
Yep. There's an Ann and an Annie. I don't know if they're still both.
And a Danny.
There's a Danny.
A Mario.
A Mario is now at a different facility. He's still there. But anyways, what you got?
So, in a nutshell, Own It is we're the artistic vein of recovery thus far. We did it first.
Yeah, and part of what we do is help you understand that you can do it too, if you want. You can be a part of that community.
Yeah, being a sober artist is scary, so we're here to help you do that if you won't, or bring you sober artists that you can lose your mind for and cheer for and get stoked for, because an artist needs an audience. You know?
And artists also need supporting cast members. So if you aren't an artist but you are really good at being like a motivator, like, oh yeah, because sometimes in class we'll have people be like, they'll cheer on people until they finally come up and read it, and without that cheering, without the supporting cast, maybe they would have never had the courage to say it. So if you're sitting there like, I'm not an artist but I'm good at helping, there's also that aspect that doesn't get talked about very often, but the supporting cast is huge, like the behind the scenes type of stuff. So if you're interested in that, we have opportunities for that as well if you're interested.
Okay, so here's the yin and the yang. Can you see it? So this is the light part, right? This is the dark part. So it can seem like one is bad and one is good. But if you look a little longer, maybe one is just light and one is dark. And yet without the light, there would be no dark, and vice versa. So the same exists within you. So what you get to do is you get to represent this however you want. You can draw a yin and a yang and put words in the dark and the light side if you want. You can just write into that idea if you want to. But the harnessing of the light and the shadow, that is the invitation of the yin and the yang. So however you interpret that, create something based on this idea that tells us, and that tells yourself a little bit more about yourself. So it's a cool and spacious idea that allows for a whole bunch more creativity, because so often we can get stuck in one-dimensional definitions of ourselves. Another way of saying that is we can get stuck in one gear. And so this is an opportunity to practice being in different gears with yourself. So however you interpret that, this is the creative part, which might drive you crazy, which is good. It drives you crazy because that means that you're in it. So create something, anything. Don't worry about it. Don't take it too seriously. None of us are going to become famous artists anytime soon. We're all art is just a way to explore. So create something. We will see you on Friday via Zoom, and you will have the opportunity to share as much or as little of your creation as you wish. We will give zero feedback. We're just here to expand with each other. The tagline for Own It is, we are the evolution of truth amplified. So art evolves us, and then our voice amplifies whatever that evolution is, and we're here to share that with you guys.
Whoa. Nice.
Did I do good?
Yeah.
Thank you.
There it is.
There it is.
Have a good day.